Let's see, is my audio on? Excellent. Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I'm Fia. I'm an energy and spirit worker, Reiki master, and healing arts practitioner. Sorry, I'm about 10 minutes or so late. I was spending some extra time with my foster cat because he needed some meds and he wasn't doing so well yesterday. Luckily, he's perked up a lot. It looks like his fever has gone down. So I'm significantly less stressed about it. Anyway, so today what I wanted to offer was a Virgo season healing circle and tarot reading, along with any kind of other channeled messages that come through, supporting us all through Virgo season. Happy Virgo season. Happy birthday to all of my fellow Virgos. It is my birthday today when I'm releasing this. You don't have to be here on the live though. You can watch this anytime. I will be reading some tarot. I'm going to kind of set it up so each card will represent a direction or a element. And then you can use that element in one of two ways, either using it as what element your astrological sign is in. So if you're, an earth sun or earth rising, you can use that as some guidance or wisdom. Or you can use it as representing an aspect of your life. Thank you. Yes, it is my birthday. So say you're an earth sun or earth rising, you can use it to be like that, or you can use it to represent the material plane, some sort of wisdom or guidance to represent the material plane. So on and so forth. Today I am using the Wildwood tarot deck. This is my first time using these cards to read for anyone besides myself, so hopefully this goes well. I hope everyone's doing well. Yesterday was the Virgo new moon. I hope y'all had fun with that. I am pretty sure I slept most of the day and most of the night. I wound up napping for 3 hours yesterday and still managed to get 10 hours of sleep last night because new moons wiped me out. Let me grab my phone real quick and turn it off. Let's see. There we go. All right. Calling in my spirit guides, my most benevolent guides, ancestors, the pleasant spirit, all of our allies and messengers of the spirit world. Spirits and guardians of the land. With love, honor, and respect, I invite you all in to support this space for all of us. I ask, what wisdom does the collective need to know for Virgo season? For Earth, for Air, and then I will pull out a center oracle card to represent spirit, or to represent just everyone, a larger collective message. Inviting in and asking for fire. And for water. Oop, there we go. Oh, that was 2. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Okay, I'll explain that later. This deck, this card is following me. Oh, and there's one underneath that I didn't pick up. The sun. The sun of life. Okay. Let's see. And now, besides the sun, is there any alchemical wisdom the collective, anyone who's watching this at any point, needs to know for this Virgo season? These cards are so hard to shuffle. Most cards are difficult for me to shuffle because they're like double the size of my hands. But this deck is also just like this shape. Hey, ma'am. Falcon. Okay, what does the collective need to know? A larger message. There we go. The Despicable Face. This is the Kim Cran's Alchemy deck. See the little focus. Probably not. I know, I love the Wildwood Tarot. I've seen them for a while and haven't bought them, and then I randomly stumbled across them about a month ago, and I took my chance. All right. Okay. So we have representing Earth. This is for me, the Virgos. I'm the only Virgo that matters. But Capricorns, Virgo, Taurus, and representing anything in the material plane, any wisdom or guidance we have that takes place in the more earthy physical realm. And this is why I laughed. The Four of Stones. Protection. And I cannot emphasize to you enough, every single time I have pulled out this deck, this card has come out. The first time I pulled from this deck, this card came out. Falcon, ma'am. And here it is representing Earth. So in this one, I believe stones represents pentacles. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a glare. There we go. It's this little fawn being protected under some standing stones. It's a sign of protection. There's some symbols etched into the stones. So I'm just going to tune into how I'm feeling, what wisdom and guidance comes through. Besides the obvious, being protected. If you've been feeling vulnerable, there's a sign to take a risk here, as if you may have been in a space or in an environment that is a bit harsh, that energetically. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's overall a bad place, but it's not a space for you. Like, it's just making you feel vulnerable. And the question is, have you been putting up a lot of guards, a lot of not firm boundaries, but instead rigid walls because you don't feel safe in a space? That might be a sign that that space isn't one that serves you. And there's a message to lean into a bit of a balance of your resources, of the people around you, of the skills that you've built, and of yourself, of your own wisdom, of your own softness, and release some of the guard that you've built up. Possibly that means stepping out of this space, venturing somewhere new, venturing somewhere unguarded or uncharted. Falcon, ma'am. Okay, I'm taking this off. Ow. Oh, she's a nightmare. Okay. So for earth signs, for anyone who needs any advice on the material realm, there's kind of a message of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, allowing yourself to be a little bit vulnerable, not necessarily just to others, but to the unknown. You might not know what's coming, and anything different feels unsafe, even if the place you are at now doesn't feel safe either. But you can really trust in the protection that surrounds you. And if you don't believe in divine guidance or protection, then you can really trust in yourself and what you've got and what you've accomplished. This isn't necessarily a hasty card, though. I will suggest, taking stock of what you've saved up, what your next steps might be. Yep, do this over there. Oh my god, you're being a nightmare right now, Falcon. But you are protected, and you can make change and venture out of your comfort zone a little bit. Especially if you've been in a space that feels like you've basically been sacrificing parts of yourself. She's finding her dry food and just like flinging it all over. Anyway, so for earth signs, rounding this out. Earth signs for anyone who wants to know anything about the material world. What have you sacrificed within yourself to better fit into a space, to fit into a relationship, to feel safe? And how can you reclaim and strategize and plan out a way to return home to yourself? And just know that you are very protected. You have skills, you have resources, you have the finances, possibly. There's a safety net. You just have to take stock of your safety net and then go for it. Do what scares you. That one is difficult for me. This one was so difficult because, once again, this card, I keep pulling it out, so it's clearly following me for a reason. But that was the Four of Stones, protection. And next, we're following this up with air. And I love this coming out for air signs, Aquarius. Wow, why am I forgetting all of the air signs? Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. There we go. And this is the Knight of Arrows. The Hawk. The Hawk is a messenger. Seeing from higher points of wisdom, higher planes. Carrying messages, usually from the divine. This is all about our source of inspiration as we go through Virgo season. The inspiration, the mental field, the communication. So once again, while the Hawk is very fast, there's a message here of not being hasty. The Knight of Arrows out of balance can be a little bit cutting or deceitful in their words. And Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. Gemini is also ruled by Mercury. They both operate in very different ways, though. This hawk is on looks like some sort of pine. And the pine tree is something very stabilizing and refreshing. There's maybe a little bit of impatience, maybe a feeling of like, we need to hurry up, we're running out of time, things aren't happening fast enough for us. And you might be taking on too much to try and fill in this need for action, for things to happen, to see an outcome, when maybe there's not an outcome yet. Or maybe it's things that are so small that we neglect to see them. So the message here is for air signs and for all of us who want to work on the mental field, on our communication. Take a step back. Be a bit more discerning in your day-to-day life about how you are choosing to spend your time. And also about the words that you are using. Are you over-promising? Are you over-committing? It might be time to scale back a bit, set some of those boundaries, say no when it's not something that you can promise, or say, I'll try, but I can't make any promises, versus saying, yes, I can do this to everything, even to yourself. Sometimes you make promises to yourself that you can't carry through. And when that happens, it starts breaking down the trust within ourselves. Seeing the bigger picture of where things are headed, what your intention is, and not getting upset or impatient when maybe things aren't happening in the real world as in the material world, real world, as quickly as you would like them to. Things take time, and I firmly believe that that's kind of the most sustainable way of creating change, of creating action, is when things take time. But once again, all of these cards, they're 4 separate things, but they're all moving through holistically. We all have all aspects within us. Regardless, we are protected. You are protected. We're just looking at what is in alignment and what feels most authentically us. And allowing ourselves to be in a bit of a vulnerable state and to move through gracefully and slowly to a certain extent. I just felt really weird after that. Okay, let's see. Grounding ourselves. I'm grounding myself because I need it. There we go. So for South, for fire, we have the Nine of Bows, respect. This is all about our actions, our pursuits. Someone here might have to take a look at their digestion, maybe. Maybe drink some peppermint tea. I'm feeling something. You might have been eating a lot of very fiery foods. If you know anything about Chinese medicine, there's foods that build fire, and there's healthy fire that we all need, and then there's kind of like that fake fire, like a lot of fatty food, overly spiced. Very protein rich, very dairy rich. Certain dairies are cooling, but an overabundance, especially full fat dairy. Maybe slow down while you're eating. Especially since this is Virgo season. Virgo rules the gut and the digestion, as well as just general sense of health and structure and routine. So not huge dietary changes. I think doing like a complete diet overhaul at once never works. Just maybe going a bit more mindfully into what you eat. Allowing food to ground you a bit. Okay. Let me see. I've never pulled this card before, so I'm really going to like try and learn from it. What message of action, of pursuit, of fire does the Nine of Bows have for the collective? There's a taking on of burdens. Once again, following back to the overcommitting. I'm feeling this like fawning response where I'm using you generally, and this always appears like with nuance and with shades in many people and shows up in many different ways within us. Of overly appeasing, of stretching yourself very thin because you want to make everyone happy. of not knowing how to say no and how to sit with the discomfort of saying no. Not knowing how to let go. So you say yes to everything. You might need to take some time for yourself this month. I'm seeing like someone really scheduling in time to just take a break and to just sit with themselves. Because part of yourself has been lost to trying to gain the approval or respect. Even if other people do respect you, maybe there's an insecure part of ourselves that doesn't feel that. So they're craving that validation. So you're craving that validation by trying to make others happy, trying to make others approve. There's also, I'm getting almost the opposite message now of setting up boundaries too high, of overly preserving, overly protecting yourself. So this could go either way. I think it's both. There's a balance to this of scheduling time to take breaks, to just sit with yourself for a while. And also making sure to create the time to connect to family members and friends who are genuinely just supportive of you. You know those people who, it's not like they're your cheerleaders going rah rah in the corner and you can do no wrong. But they support you. You know those people who are just happy when we're happy and you're happy when they're happy. Don't try to evaluate it too much. If you've been feeling insecure, just spend some time with those people. You don't have to fight for their respect or their love or admiration. Just as I hope they don't have to fight for yours. Create more space for those relationships and for the opportunities that those relationships bring you. And say no and set boundaries with people who might just like. And also look for where you are overly offering even when people aren't asking. This is a big one because I know people who will do this. That's the thing about like if you're like really in a fawning response, it's not a real reaction to the stimuli. It is a perceived threat. And it's not necessary. And it doesn't always make other people actually feel appeased or comfortable if you're like offering so much of yourself. There's a lot there. Either way, all of these cards so far are really about slowing down and accepting yourself. And slowing down how you exist in the world. And not trying to do too much all the time. Okay? And now for water. For love, emotions, water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. We have 2 reversals actually, which I don't purposely read reversals. I'm also a Scorpio rising. And we have the Queen of Arrows or the Swan in reverse. And the Wheel in reverse. Hi, Falcon. What are you doing? Hi, come here. I love you. You're a nightmare. The Swan. I'm not sure what it means in this deck exactly. I really am not super familiar with this deck, which is probably why it's been a challenge to read for, but you know, I love a challenge. Let's see. The Swan, to me, there's a willow. There's those little corn dog plants that I can never remember the name of. Swan is intuitive, very protective, very loyal. Loyal and loving, but also a bit fierce. Using your words, your intuitive knowledge, fully and in balance, not being disconnected from those parts of yourself. But these are reversed, so let's see. There might be a struggle with intuition this month. Maybe being a little bit too caught up in our own heads that we're not really in tune or in flow with how we feel, our intuition, the messages we receive for ourselves. And with that, you might be unconsciously blocking a lot of blessings coming your way, honestly. And this is what I'm feeling. You may have cut off connection with that kind of gut instinct, the intuitive knowledge that puts us in a state of flow. So maybe it's time to soften a bit. Let your emotions not rule you, but you might need to let them rule you for just a little bit. If you've been feeling rigid, oh, this is interesting. The way this is reversed looks like there's an underworld on this card. And there's herons here, which herons or cranes to me are symbols or messengers of the other world. This is hard to put into words. There's some sort of subconscious and unconscious healing this month for us. For if you're a water sign, or for generally, our emotional field is asking for an unconscious healing of some sort. That one's hard to do consciously, of course. But dream journaling might be a good opportunity for this. Being a bit mindful of emotions that are showing up kind of out of the blue and what they might be telling you. And just generally letting go of rigidity. The center card, or this card that also showed up, was the Sun. So generally, it's not going to be a bad month or a bad Virgo season. There's a lot of celebration here. There's so much life to be grown. These stones on the bottom have the same symbols of protection that this fleur of stones has. There's definitely a lot of word block, like communication-based blockages right now. And like stalling, having issues with processing. So the larger message, I'm going to stop trying to like over explain this because I feel myself like reaching and feels more like energy just needs to come through. So I'm going to do a channeled intuitive energy healing session. We'll do about 25 minutes. And we're going to use the wisdom carried within these cards, these channeled messages. I am feeling so much like throat soreness and a lot of weird digestive, like there's like this pressure going through the entire system, having trouble processing. So, if you want to take some time to get yourself comfortable, to get a glass of water or tea, maybe get a blanket if it's chilly where you are. And I will start channeling this energy. We're going to really start with like focusing on grounding. And then set this intention for greatest healing good and to also support you in clearing any outside influences, any fears and doubts that are unconsciously influencing you and causing you to behave in ways that are, it's almost like it's like a self-betrayal, which I don't like using those words because they feel very strong. It's not like you're purposely being mean to yourself when you do this. We just take on these habits and these patterns and these responses that tell us that this is how we are safe. And it's time to let go of some of those. Let me set the timer for about 25 minutes. And then we'll begin. If you want to play any music for yourself during this session, please feel free to do so. I just feel really called to like have some silence. All right, if you're ready, you can wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, slowly feeling back the sensations of your body. Maybe flex and point your feet, just allowing yourself to move through anything you might still be holding on to, anything that feels a little bit stuck. Harden, Falcon being a menace and knocking things over in the middle of that. Thank you so much for being here with me today. That session was a lot of things that were stuck. A little bit sticky, hard to move through. It started feeling really good right at the end though. Usually that's how I know a session's like counting down. It's really funny. Without a doubt, every single time when I start feeling like suddenly I'm not holding on to all of the little aches and pains and tension I sometimes feel during energy work sessions, I will look at the clock and see that there's like 2 minutes left on it. But I hope this session was helpful in some way for all of y'all. If you want to watch it on the replay, that's totally fine. It's going to work throughout time or space for whenever you need it. I'm going to go and take some time to feel like dancing it out. A lot of needing to move and swing around. I think there's like a lot of things for all of us that we may have been holding on to unconsciously that maybe we need to let our bodies move through. But with that being said, thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope this session was helpful. And enjoy the rest of your Virgo season. I'll see y'all next time.